Record. Hello, this was meant to be live, but technology decided that it's not going to be, not even Chat GPT could help me what's wrong. Everything seemed fine. I start to believe maybe in this retrogrades thing. But maybe not quite yet. We'll see. But technology seems to be a little bit glitchy these days. So hello, Carla. Thank you very much for joining me today. We're not so much LinkedIn Live, but that doesn't stop us not to have doesn't stop us to have this conversation, because the reason we are here to have these conversations is just bigger than technology, bigger than us, and it's important to share our stories about spirituality, about energy work, about our journeys, and relate them to those who are ready to hear them. So these conversations are hopefully going to bring you into the world of women who've been in that position, that were peeking into spirituality, energy work, maybe for some time, but logic wouldn't allow them, and just they felt a little bit silly, even considering that this was possibility, because we can't see it on a paper, we can't touch it. And so it can't be real, and I'm just going mad, and I'm just literally looking into everything to help myself, but actually this is a little bit crazy. So if you are one of them, welcome. You are in the right space, and hopefully this will give you a little bit more understanding of us, and also more understanding that actually you are not going mad, and it's something worth exploring if you feel like it. So this is your invitation. Before we carry on about our topic today, kind of leading from masculine or going beyond that terminology, I'll let Carla to introduce herself. So hello, Carla. Thank you very much for being here today with me.
Thank you, Stanka. Yeah, so I'm a sex, love, and relationship coach. So I work with men, I work with women, and also couples. And it's basically to help people feel more connected in their relationships, more seen, and just to live a more turned on life. And I take that work from bedroom to boardroom.
Amazing, thank you. And I love bedroom to boardroom. Yes,
Yeah.
it doesn't mean we are suggesting anything in the boardrooms, but if that floats your boat, go for it. Anyway, we're starting on high. So, and let's keep it that way. And as you say, you are helping couples, and we've chosen the word masculine today, and lead with that. And why it was important for both of us, because it's feminine, masculine is thrown around quite a lot these days. But when I started hearing it, for me, and therefore I believe it's for many, it meant you either are masculine, you either are feminine, and if you are a woman, you should be leaning into feminine. If you are male or identify as male, you should be leaning into masculine, and it's one or the other. So for me, when somebody said that, oh, in being an engineering world, men-led world, I had lots of masculine energy, and that's the first clue that we are talking about energy, not necessarily physical side. And when somebody told me, well, maybe you need to start tapping into your feminine, first thing the alarm went on. I was like, I can't imagine for me to turn up in pink dress suddenly, all kind of high heels, and kind of, it just didn't feel safe, because that's what I was hearing. But let's go into it, Carla, because I know you are very passionate about this topic, turning it into the light. So it doesn't mean that we are either like more men or more women, but there is a balance. So tell us how you see it.
Yeah, so I don't use that terminology, masculine and feminine, because I think when you start talking about masculine and feminine, people are thinking about masculinity, and what it means to be a man, or talking about femininity and what it means to be a woman. I prefer to use terms like yin and yang. And
Mm.
so what that means is it's like within us as human beings, we need to have a balance internally where there are times that we are moving forward, that we're strategic, that we're logical, which is the yang. And then other times where, it's slowness, it's softness, it's emotional, and that is the element of yin. That's why that the circle with the yin and yang sign is so beautiful, because it's like, the yin is within the yang and the yang is within the yin, and it makes a circle, and that's the wholeness of who we are. And that's who we are as human beings. And it's like, it's important to tap into those different energies. And throughout our conversation, I'll use yin and yang, because otherwise I think, because the word masculine and feminine is so tied to gender, people are going to think, she's telling me that I need to, like you said, wear a pink dress to get to where I want to go. And so, what I'm going to speak to instead is using those terms yin and yang. And the reason it's important to sort of reflect upon, these areas of our lives is, if we're too much in our yang energy, and we are constantly moving, constantly logical, what that does is that can create barriers, because the yin is the one that's like there for connection, it's there for flow, it's there for building relationships, it's the emotional center of ourselves. So if you're too much logical and in your mind, you're losing the opportunity to really connect with people on a different level. And also, if you're very much in your yang energy, you're not as open and receptive to other people, to following your own intuition and moving with life, because you become so focused on, this is the structure, this is the direction that I need to go in, and become so hyper focused on it that you're not able to pivot or to flow or to move. And this is the case both for men and women. And, in the line of work that I'm in, what I see is with women. So women that are in very much yang roles at work can struggle sometimes when they come back into their relationship to tap into that yin energy. And so they can end up being in that space of like, constantly delegating their partner, controlling what he does, how he does it. It needs to look a particular way. And that in a relationship can create disconnect. And I'm not saying that women need to be all of the time in their yin energy in their relationship, because obviously then, when you like fully be in the flow, you're just not going to get anything done. And, working as a team in the house, there needs to be those energies of like movement, moving forward, that you both have, that you both bring to the table.
And also there is a team within us. So if we picture that yin and yang as a relationship between we are talking now about men and a woman relationship.
Yeah.
But obviously there will be, in any kind of relationship, there will be one person who is more driven by masculine, and I do use those terms purposely, so people can hear them interchangeably in this context of energy rather than just physical being. But that this team is within us. So if we can imagine that we are both, and they are intertwined, and they both have their roles, and that's creating that synergy is important. Now, while we are talking about this in a context of let's get a bit witchy, and I think it's important to go into that, because you went into it already a little bit. So let's explore that inner connection, because the reason why we lead, especially as women, mainly from masculine, especially at work, it happens. So that's where I observe it the most. But also in our businesses, I know many women who have their own businesses and leading purely through with that masculine energy is a safety, because we feel more safe in the masculine energy than feminine, for all the reasons we can go back to whatever times. But it is tapping into that safety and feeling safe as a feminine, and bringing that feminine in when we feel it's right, and following that intuition. And this is where the energy work and inner connection and exploring ourselves internally comes into it. Do you want to explore a little bit on that, because that's part of what we both do, connecting women and men into their inner world, and finding the balance and being brave to show up with both of those energy, the yin and the yang.
Yeah, so something I would like to speak to from what you've just shared there is, when people are in that more yang state of like needing to control everything and control the world around them, quite often it comes from like this feeling of not being able to trust themselves. So, and what that means is I can't trust my boundaries. I can't trust what I'm asking for. And then, also my fear is that I need to control everybody around me, because if I am controlling them and they do exactly what I want and how I want it, then I'm not going to experience an emotion, a specific emotion. And that could be anger, sadness, whatever it might be. So to avoid feeling that emotion, I'm going to control my environment. The thing is, like the beauty of it is when you can get comfortable with the emotion that you're trying to avoid, and you allow yourself to feel it and be with it, know that your nervous system can survive it, then you're able then to not have to control your immediate environment around you. And that is then where the yin is coming in, because it's like you are able to let go of control, and you're able to trust that if things don't happen and work out in the way that you want them to, that you can still be that you can, that your nervous system feels like it can still survive. And so that's, the container. Often people talk about yang being the container and yin being the energy that flows within it. And so yin being that emotion that's able to sit with and be with all of the different emotions that arise from things happening. But yang is, creating that container of safety of like, I can hold myself in this emotion. I don't need to avoid it by controlling my external, because, I can be safe and feel it all as well.
Absolutely. Always, yeah, that inner safety, that's what it comes to. And as adults, we are able to create that safety. If when we are guided, and that's the part of the conversation we are having, to encourage people and to kind of let them know that you are able as an adult to create that internal safety. And this is Carla explained it beautifully how you can start doing that. Yeah, the controlling is one thing, but there is so many ways, and let me just mention a few more ways how you can recognize that you are actually not feeling safe with holding space for yourself, with being able to hold and receive the emotions and feelings you may be scared of experiencing. And what Carla is explaining is something what I call she leads with the whip, because there's really that controlling and wants everybody to do it her way, because that's what feels safe. And also I'm hoping that describing this will help you to more relate to someone who may be coming into the space with these characteristics. Because when you see there is actually a lack of safety and is a little bit protective mechanism, all of it is actually protective mechanism rather than just who they really are underneath. It may actually bring a little bit different dynamic into communication and relationships, which we are both passionate about. So this, what Carla explains, I call it the one who leads with the whip. For me, the mechanism was I knew the answers, but I didn't speak. I always wanted to run and hide. So for me, it was very much withdrawal, because I didn't have that self-trust. And so for my safety, I just didn't speak, even though I knew that actually I've got an answer. So for those who are quiet in the meetings, don't like confrontations and don't like being criticized and can't stand for themselves, that may be another way how it's showing up for you. There is the one who fears to disappear. Those yes, I'll do it, yes, I'll do it, and a burnout and all sorts of it's coming in. Again, it's not because you don't know how to look after yourself, or it's safety mechanism, because you are fearing the disappointment, which is another emotion which we all fear, and it's very strong. And the fourth one is the one who must be strong, and so we are saving everyone. Somebody drops something and we are there. And we can fluctuate between these characteristics, depends what relationships is, and other people will bring out different aspects of this. So I would like, if you're listening and if you find yourself in any of these, let us know whether it resonated and which one was like, that sounds like me. Because I'm sure we all have these mechanisms, and finding that inner safety through connection and through the yin yang is the way, and those are the energetics. That's the energy work we are inviting you to tap into. So, Carla, do you want to share a little bit what it means when we say the energy work? Why we call it that? Why it goes beyond mindset? Why it goes beyond all the books and self-development books
Yeah.
many of us read, but got to the point that it was like, okay, still not, I can't change. I've read all the books. So what shall we say to those?
So for me, it's always about returning to the body and listening to the body. And so it's like, how able, because I think in a large majority of people that will be listening on, LinkedIn, with it being a professional network, I imagine that most people listening are more likely to be in the yang. And so they'll be struggling to like slow down, be in stillness, So how many people are able to sit with themselves in the garden without a phone, feet on the ground for 15 minutes 15 minutes isn't even a long time, 5, let's say, without getting up and having to do something, without getting up and noticing that something in the garden needs doing, or, oh gosh, I need to check my phone for that message, like actually being in stillness and noticing that when you do stay for that time in stillness, this desire then to get up and the thoughts that come up. I did a Vipassana meditation course back in November. And so that's a 10-day course where you meditate 11 hours a day and the whole retreat is silent. And there's nothing quite like being with yourself, because you can't have books, you can't read anything, there's no TV, you're literally meditating in a room with a group of people, but not interacting with them at all. So you're by yourself in essence. And there's nothing quite like connecting to that sense of stillness to see how busy our minds and also our bodies are as well. And so, yeah, like I was saying, I think it's about coming back to embodiment. Can I pause before reacting or responding to something? And if I take that moment just to be with myself before responding and reacting, what in me actually shifts? What changes? How do I respond differently from that place? And if I had just gone straight into my normal thought patterns, behaviors or movements, the ones that are sort of ingrained and my default,
Absolutely. Sorry, can I just jump into this, because it's just got this is so important, and this is why, if you are wondering why we are even having these conversations about, and this is how the self-trust really can be built. And really rooted in us, so we can act on it more and more often, and it becomes default instead of these reactions. Because what happens when we react from that space of lack of safety, I'm actually, I've got a goosebump just going into it. You probably react the way we didn't really want to, and that's not building trust. It's just kind of confirming that lack of trust in ourselves. So it's not helping. So if you are building self-trust, more confidence in who you are, not in that for years rehearsed role you were playing, but in your true self, these are the incredibly important moments that you go in, and how I can respond from my body. What is my body telling me? Is it yes again, or is it actually no? And how I can communicate it, because this is important, and I'm not having this. So, and this is one step by step how we build the self-trust, because the reaction we actually come up with, it may not be perfect the first time, but it feels juicy, really feels really delicious when you first time say, actually, not now, thank you. And that's it. or when you first time actually articulate, because you paused and you articulate what you want, or you articulate what you don't want. You say no to meeting over your lunch break because fueling yourself is important to you. Whatever that is, can be small steps, but that's the building that self-trust. These moments are incredibly important. And on a bigger picture, and there is always bigger picture, Carla, isn't there? That when all of us start to tune in and really trust ourselves, the confusion, the distractions, the shiny objects, the not so helpful relationships, all this suddenly will become less and less. People will see each other a little bit more, and we can connect and really kind of show up in a world in a very different way and change it from within. So, and I'm sure you back this up with your way of looking at it.
Yeah, so when you make those internal shifts and you, like you said, slow down, choose a different path rather than the default one, the world around you needs to adapt to the change that you have created within yourself. So, whether that's like romantic relationships, friendships, familial relationships, work colleagues, the world then has to adapt to the new way of you, of the new you becoming. And so also what you find is, some people feel really uncomfortable and are resistant to that, because in some way, maybe potentially they benefited from the older version of you.
Mm.
And then some people, and so, those people may potentially fade away, or maybe even if they don't fade away, they, are somebody that you yourself decide to detach a little bit further from. And then you've got, other people that are drawn to you because you're living greater in your own sense of truth. People hear all the time like, oh, I'm finding my tribe, so that's sort of the tribe and the group of people that find you. And it's like, and Gabor Mate is really an inspirational person around this. It's finding that balance of like being true to you, being authentic, but also there's this human part of ourselves, this animalistic part of ourselves that requires attachment, that requires belonging. And it's like, this need and desire to live in community with others, but also honoring ourselves. And so the balance within is also then finding like that balance without as well.
100%. And I think we don't need to go any further. For me, it feels complete, Carla. And I think there is lots of information, lots of beautiful food for thought and nourishing sentences and words and invitations for people to tap into. So thank you very much for today. And if you wish to connect with me or Carla, just reach out. Any questions, nothing is off the table. Please please do reach out, and let's continue these conversations, and there will be more and more of them. Go and have a look at my LinkedIn. There is more, hopefully this time LinkedIn actually live scheduled. And so thank you very much for watching. Thank you very much, Carla, again.
Thanks, Sanka. Yeah, thank you for inviting me into the conversation.
Always a pleasure.